New breed, global truth. Shalom, Israel. It's your brother New Breed coming through with another live stream. Peace and blessings, everyone. Put a number 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. I see you brothers and sisters rolling in pretty quick. I see No Gonzalez in the building. Yeah. Millennium Jess, Calvin in the building, Carnivore, Hakeem, salute. Nita's and Mike World, CJ Matthews, what's going on, bro? I see y'all rolling in. All praises to the Most High. I know I'm late. I meant to stream earlier, but I had a lot of different things I had to work out today and take care of, right? But nonetheless, I got a very pivotal message for y'all. Shout out to everybody catching the show and those who will be catching it on playback. I just ask that everybody come through and hit the like button. Make sure people can get the notifications in case they're up and want to get this message. I see Jacqueline in the building. Erica, what's going on? Mika, Truth Rises, what's going on? Brian Pat, I see y'all. I see you, Jacqueline. Hey. I wanted to talk about 501c3 churches, camps, these organizations that a lot of individuals seem to blindly follow, believing that they're getting the sincere, unadulterated truth. When on the contrary, my good people, there's certain things that they can't talk about. Under this 501c clause. Now, I'm going to tell you about what they can't talk about. And some of you all in the Israelite faith, you're a part of some of these camps who actually are under 501c3s. And you'll notice after going through this information that, hey, Breed, I think you're right. They really cannot talk about these things. And that's not what the gospel of Christ is supposed to be about. There should be a clear-cut separation between church and state. The spirit of truth is supposed to move expressively. That's what the scriptures tell us. That means there should be no muzzle on the word of God. The Bible tells us this. Matter of fact, when you go to John 16 and 13, it reads, "Howbeit, when he, the spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whosoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come." See, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, a lot of these pastors, some of these camp leaders, they can't show you certain things to come because it's not in their clause. Now, I'm going to read. We're going to be doing some reading here. And then we're going to go into various topics that's, trending right now that every church, congregation, camp should be talking about, but they're not. Let's go into this clause. Now, hopefully you all can see this on your screen. What is a 501c3? We're going directly to an IRS website so you can get a great understanding. Because I know you hear people throw this terminology around, and they say, hey, you shouldn't follow this group, that group, or the third because they're under a 501c3. But what is this 501c3? Let's get into it. What is a 501c3 church, and what are some benefits and disadvantages of a church having a 501c3 tax exempt status? This is what you need to know. When starting a new church, one decision you will need to make early on is whether or not you will pursue a 501c3 exempt status from the IRS. The American government has recognized that churches perform valuable social functions, and as a result, tax exemptions is a long held American tradition. Very interesting, because the scriptures tell us plain as day. Luke 20 and 25. And he said unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which belong to Caesar, and unto God the things that which be God's. Right? So you brothers shouldn't be trying to get out of paying your damn taxes off the break. You should be paying your taxes. You shouldn't be trying to squirm out of it, because Christ made it very evident and made it very clear a long time ago that these organizations should be paying those taxes. Render to what Caesar is what Caesar's, right? So, you got camps like IUIC, Israel United in Christ, under a 501c3, and that's not an accusation. Elder Nathaniel has openly discussed this. Matter of fact, I seen an interview with Phil from the Advice Show not too long ago of, Phil actually talking about how the 501c3 has destroyed the black church. And Nathaniel is actually trying to defend the 501c3. So, it's open. That camp is under a 501c3, and you're going to get a greater understanding of why they move the way they move in certain scenarios once you find out what some of the clauses are, right? Yeah, you can only follow one guy. You got a lot of individuals who took the deal, they took the bait, and now they've been compromised. Straight up, they've been compromised. No Gonzalez, thanks for the $9 contribution. I appreciate it, bro. Now, I want to continue on to read here. Let's get it. According to the IRS, a church or a body of believers is exempt from taxation by the federal government. It is because their special protected status that the churches have the potential to influence their community and beyond in ways the government can't. So they offer you incentives because you can influence your community in ways beyond the government can influence your community. That should be a red flag immediately. Now, seriously, that should be a red flag immediately. If y'all reading this, read along. Follow me here, because we're going on a journey right now. So let me get this right. Let me get this right here. So because these preachers, some of these camp leaders, these churches, these deacons, these bishops, because they can have an influence, more than the government can. The government is offering that, hey, listen, you don't even got to pay taxes, but we want our hands in. We want certain parameters that we can set so we can help manipulate the minds of the people. This should be a huge red flag. And it doesn't matter if you are a camp leader or a church leader. I really get tired of some of these camps who are under 501c3s throwing churches under the bus when you are serving the same hidden hand as the churches. You are a part of the system as the churches, but you want to go ahead and throw the churches under the bus. I'm not having that. See, let me make this clear. New Breed Global Truth is not under a 501c3. I operate on my own, and everything that I'm bringing forth is through the spirit of the Most High. And nobody has any control over what I say to y'all on this platform. And, that's within reason. As long as I'm holding community guidelines, I'm able to speak exactly what's written of in these scriptures and forewarn my people of things to come, right? Now let's get into this, right? Let's read a little more here. What is a 501c3 tax exemption status? So, what does it mean to be a 501c3 church and is designation beneficial? In short, if an organization, including a church, receives 501c3 exemption status from the IRS, it is a recognition that they are exempt from federal income and property tax. In addition, people who make contributions to 501c3 organizations may deduct the contribution amount from their taxable income. So it's sort of like when you donate clothes to Goodwill or the Salvation Army, you can actually write it off as a tax exemption. You can try to acquire some of your money back. All right. That's what that means. So your organization is all about the money. Now imagine that if you're supposed to be giving out of the kindness of your heart to a charitable cause, imagine giving to your church and then filing it on your taxes at the end of the year. I thought you were giving because there was a charitable cause and work to be done for your people. So you can see the confusion that comes in and the pollution of the heart when it comes to giving. You know, when the Bible says charity covers the multitude of sins. But if you're giving to the church and it's a tax write-off, then really, are you being charitable? Or is it just business? Think about that. It goes on to say, according to the IRS, churches that meet the requirements of Internal Revenue Code Section 501c3 are automatically considered tax exempt and are not required to apply for and obtain recognition of tax exempt status from the IRS. So it isn't required for your church to apply for 501c order in order to be tax exempt. So it's not even required, but you know how these Negroes are. They can't wait to have a taskmaster over them. It goes on to say, keep in mind, churches may lobby for legislation or ballot initiatives, but they are prohibited from showing support for political candidates. Now, peep that. If a church is shown to be in violation of this restriction, they risk losing its exempt status. What most people don't realize is that churches and nonprofit exist under the definition whether or not they have officially received the 501c3 status. Now, peep this. They cannot show any support for any political candidates. Here's the thing. They can't speak on too many political issues altogether. There's going to be more literature that we're going to get into where it's going to basically tell us that they can't influence any political decisions of their congregation as well. Yeah. Somebody said can't have the what? Yeah, exactly. This is crazy because if you see pending trouble in your community, for instance, in Georgia, we had Raphael Warnock, the quote unquote pro-choice pastor who was running from Senate against Herschel Walker, who happens to be pro-life. They can't come right out and say, like I did on my channel, and say, listen, if you're going to vote Herschel Walker because, you know, this man, Raphael Warnock, believes that you can pretty much chop a little girl up or turn her inside out or mutilate a little boy and turn them into a girl and turn little girls into boys. And on top of that, you know, he's pro-abortion all the way up to 9 months. So, you know, you don't want him in the office all the way up to 9 months. Raphael Warnock is saying you can go ahead and terminate pregnancies. That's insane. And this is a so-called pastor. See, they can't talk like that. What I just said to y'all get what I'm saying? What I just said to y'all, your church can't say that. They can't affect any type of voting process. They can't be for or against any political figure. You would never hear them speak against any political figure or voting for a political figure in favor of. You won't hear that. The government don't want to hear that from them, right? Let's continue. Now it says why becoming a 501c3 church is not a necessity. It does have its benefits. Now, when we get into the benefits, it's pretty much all business. But let's get into them. Let's skim through these, and then we're gonna go a little further down. The IRS recognition gives added assurance to church leaders, gives added insurances to church leaders, members, and contributors that the church is recognized as exempt and their contributions are generally tax deductible. 501c3 status enhances organization financial transparency. Maintaining your status requires that informational tax be filed annually. All right, let's go down. So they get EINs, sort of like, your own business, which you can do that without a 501c3. I happen to be a business owner without a 501c3. Now watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Raising the funds to meet the needs of your church is becoming increasingly challenging. The webinar looked at some of the critical factors that make a church financially healthy, including principles of stewardship, how they can impact your church, how to implement stewardship plans, a demonstrate of accountability for managing your funds, how to monitor given trends with your congregation and membership. So under a 501c3, your church becomes a business. It becomes a straight up business, and everything you do outside of these guidelines is absolutely prohibited. Now I want to read up on the IRS website regarding the restrictions of political campaign intervention by Section 501c3. Let me share another screen with y'all real quick. See, we just scratching the surface because there's a whole lot to it. Oh, it's quite a few things you won't hear them speak about. Trust and believe that. All right, let's see. We right here on the IRS website. Y'all watching, y'all peeping this, right? IRS. Now watch this, y'all. Uh-oh, what happened here? All right, it just like popped open on me. There we go. Under the Internal Revenue Code, all Section 501c3 organizations are absolutely prohibited from directly or indirectly participating or intervening in any political campaigns on behalf of or opposition to any candidate for elective public office. So it can be the man of sin, it could be the devil, it can be the most wicked man put on the forefront, and they cannot warn the people. They cannot warn the people. They can't tell you, listen, y'all don't follow this politician. He's going to lead you to hell. This can be the damn antichrist that sit forth to pretty much lead y'all into captivity all over again. Peep this. Your 501c3 camp or church can't say a damn thing. They can't say nothing. They can't say nothing, y'all. I'm telling you. It could be this polarizing figure that emerges, and the people are following this individual like they are following the Messiah. And your church can't say anything about it. They got to be on hush mode. Gian Marco, thank you for the $50 contribution. Highly appreciate it. Says, thank you, Bree, for letting us know what to come. I've been sharing your videos, on Facebook, so that way people can get this message. Be safe. Blessings to you, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Yeah, Ebony J said this makes a lot of sense now. Absolutely. All right, it goes on to say, contributions, it goes on to say, any candidate for elective public office, contributions to political campaign funds, or public statements of position, verbal or written, made on behalf of the organization in favor of or in opposition to any candidates for public office, clearly violates the prohibition against political campaign activity. Violating the prohibition may result in denial, revocation of tax exempt status, and the imposition of certain excise taxes. So peep this. They can't say nothing about anything dealing with politics. They can't say nothing about it. Certain activities or expenditures may not be prohibited depending on the fact and circumstances. For example, certain voters' education activities, including present public forums and publishing voters' education guides, conduct in nonpartisan manners, do not constitute prohibited political campaign activity. Basically, if they part of the lobbyists. So basically, if they getting paid by the lobbyists and their church, they can do what they do, right? Now, there's a few more things that they can't speak on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Hold up. One thing that I'm gonna just point out there for you that I've read on various sites, and I've already done the math on all of this. You're not going to hear the 501c3 church discuss the mark of the beast. You're not going to hear that. That's another thing you're not going to hear them discuss. Why? Because guess what? It's being brought to you by political figures. So you will not hear them discussing the mark of the beast. They won't talk about what's to come. You will not be hearing your camp leader or your church talking about the CBDC, the central banking digital currency. You will not hear them talking about the implantable chips that they're trying to roll out under the European central bankers. You will not listen. This will not be brought out by your churches or your camps. They won't talk about that. All right. So you can X that out of the equation. Yep, they're really not going into Revelations. They're standing far, far, far from Revelations. Now I want to go to something that they ain't talking about. They can't talk about it. I want to go to something that they just can't even discuss, right? Let's go there. They ain't gonna be talking about this right here. They're not gonna be talking about the CBDC. And here's another thing. Here's something else that they're not allowed to do before I read up on this. The 501c3 church or camp will not, I repeat, they will not be discussing. Well, let me reframe this. They cannot protest unless the only way they can protest on any social matter is only if that protest advertises the organization. Now, wrap your mind around that. They can only protest if that protest somehow advertises the organization. Let me get that literature on that before we get into this. I can't leave that information out, man. I am thorough with this. Hold on, let's get into it. They only can protest for advertisement. And you can read that one up on, let me see. Let me give y'all the source here. Oh, that's also on the IRS website. That includes participating, intervening, any political campaign, opposition to and fro. So basically, any political agenda that includes protest of any sort, any of that. So when you see IUIC, marching at the Barclays Center for Kyrie Irving. Let's make this clear. The reason they were marching was to advertise their camp. That was the purpose. The only way that they can actually protest and be to or fro with or against any political agenda if only that protest is advertising the camp itself or the organization itself under the 501c3. Let's make that very clear. So that's the reason. TT Ledette, thank you for the $50 contribution. Highly appreciated. Thank you for the support. So I'm putting these things out here, and this is something else you won't be hearing them talk about. They won't be talking about the digital currency that's coming, something that I've been talking about a whole lot lately because it's information we need to know. The CBDC are going to be implanting under the skin the nature of this CBDC, what is actually going to look like. They never talk about that, but one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this, and they showed him. He's a top executive director of another central bank in Europe, and there is no reason to believe that he was telling a story. And it was about this large holds finger up and would be implanted under your skin, points to hand, Richard Werner, top academic scholar in the world of central banking. See, these are the things they're not going to be talking about. They're not going to be talking about the fact that there's no money in the banks right now, that you will find it very difficult to even withdraw $1,000 out of your bank account right now because they're on the brink of a cashless society. They won't warn you about the mark of the beast and tell the people that it's time to come together, all the like-minded brothers and sisters, and combine our powers to actually preserve ourselves. They won't tell you the importance of getting away from those around you who are not preparing for these times to come and secure the oil in your lampstand and keep your best foot forward. They're not going to tell you that because they can't tell you that. The 501c3 church cannot tell you this information that I'm giving you so freely, right? Hey, Alex Alessio, thank you for the $10 contribution. I appreciate it. It says, wow. And no wonder why big churches attract more people, because they only want to hear what the flesh wants. If they speak like you, New Breed, churches would be empty. Absolutely. They definitely would. They definitely would. They're not telling the people what it is. Now let's comb through this a little bit more. Let's read up. We're on the IRS website. The restrictions of political campaign intervention. Certain activities or expenditures may not be prohibited depending on facts and circumstances. So they give these people a little wiggle room to move. Now, if they're telling you certain things will be prohibited and certain things won't be prohibited, depending on the circumstances and the facts involving things, meaning that they have a master to go to. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, what that means? When they can put parameters over what they deem is worth your fight, so to speak, that means you have someone you answer to. You're not answering to the Most High. And what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of things they do are just simply tax write-offs. These protests that they putting together with all this organization, those are actually funded too. All right. Yeah, they need permission. It don't get no worse than a church needing permission on what they can represent, what they can fight for, what they can teach, and what they can do. Do you think Christ and his disciples were operating like this? Could you imagine Christ preaching the word under these harsh conditions, under those restrictions and scrutiny? Could you imagine that? Absolutely impossible. I mean, these people have to undergo webinars to figure out how to be stewards and implement their stewardship plans. This is what happens under a 501c3. It's the ultimate sellout. When the Bible said in John 17:17, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. The Most High says, sanctify the people through the truth. Proverbs 12:22 says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A lot of these churches are straight up abomination, man. A lot of these camps, abominations, liars. They're not out here putting out the truth, man. They can't speak the truth. There's too many restrictions on them. It also says contributions to political campaigns funds or public statements of position, verbal or written, made on behalf of the organization in favor or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Any candidate for public office. That means if anybody out the neighborhood who is chosen by the people to lead, they can't even write nothing on paper. They can't even slide a note. They can't even have their own opinion on who our leaders are. Now imagine that. Under a 501c3, you get crowned a leader in the community and you have no say so. You can have no opinion. You can't speak to nobody about what other leadership rises up and where our people should follow. This is crazy. This is madness. Yep. Anita Blackmore says Christ is the living word. Blessings from Australia. Shout out all the way from Australia. She says she's catching a live stream. All praises. Yep. Robin, you got that right. 501c3 church agreement is the state and their sovereign. Exactly. You become property of the state. Straight up. It goes on to say, let's see here. It goes on to say, organizations are absolutely prohibited from directly or indirectly participating in any political campaigns. And we read that part already. They pretty much can't speak on politics at all. They can't speak on the economic collapse that's coming. Another thing you won't see a lot of them speak on is you won't see them speak on biblical marriage as it is written. They will not speak on polygyny. Oh, you can X that out of the equation. They will not. They definitely will not speak on polygyny. They won't do that. There's no way, because the issue with that is that's bad for business. They already teach you how to be stewards. They give you entire stewardship plans. IUIC does not. And let me make this clear. I'm not going to put up with no trolling up in here. I ain't going to do it. Matter of fact, I'm just getting them up out of here. Because they damn sure don't. They damn sure don't, but you didn't hear saying that they do. No, they don't. So we're just going to block you. Yeah, they're not going to do it, man. They're heretics, man. That's why I told y'all, man, I don't take these camps serious. I don't take these churches serious because they sold out. They sold out to Caesar. They have no real power. They're monitored. They're under observation. They're under public scrutiny. This ain't that, and that ain't this. I'm telling you. Second Timothy 3:16 says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. See, all scripture is profitable. Imagine only being able to teach portions of the Bible because it points to a certain social agenda. It speaks to certain economic agendas or political agendas. Don't you know having political restrictions in this time pretty much silences you? The entire world as we know it is becoming political. Even medical decisions are political now. Now, let me repeat that. Even your medical decisions are political now. They can't speak about nothing, y'all. They can't speak about nothing, y'all. They are bounded. I'm telling you. Somebody said, Edward Stevens says, keep shining, breeze, salute for making sense in such senseless times. May the big man upstairs protect your journey straight up. Thank you, family. I appreciate that. Yeah, they definitely have a muzzle on them, man. And that's some of the things you won't hear them speak about. They will not be talking about the mark of the beast. They will not be discussing polygyny. That's dead because that's bad for business because you're going to lose members. You're going to lose supporters speaking about that. And you're going to mess your money up. They're not going to do that. Not saying because a camp, church, or organization or group or whatever the case may be is not talking about that. I'm not saying that they are under 501c3. Only reason I'm calling IUIC out is because they been on the record saying that they are 501c3, and I believe ISUPK is the same thing. I believe that they're under 501c3 as well. If I'm incorrect, I stand corrected. But I remember them. I don't remember his name. The elder, big guy. He told everybody to go out there and go get the pointy thing. So that just ain't sounding right there. Yeah. The leader of ISUPK. What is that guy's name? What was his? Not Tazariak. That's the underboss. It's another one. It's a big one. Anyway, if you know his name, you can put it in the chat. But I remember he was telling people to go get the pointy thing. That's how I knew that's how I knew they was 501c3. Straight like that. Straight up. Yep, I do agree with that. The cryptocurrency is the precursor of the mark of the beast. And see, you're not hearing these camps talk about that. Aside for a couple of them, they'll talk about the digital currency. They'll talk about the CBDC. That's how you know more than likely they're not under a 501c3. Royal Soul says, New Breed, I apologize, my brother, for saying this, but if anyone is listening, the Mr. Marcus Rogers guy is under a 501c. Rogers, understand that man is under a 501c. Yeah, he's under a 501c3. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, General Yohana. That's what it was. Yeah, he literally told people to go get the pointy thing. That's crazy. So, like, this is why I don't take these organizations serious, and this is why I tell people, man, seek your own soul salvation. Like, study to show yourself approved. Read the book. Understand that a lot of these people are thieves. They just want to line their pockets up. John 4:24 says God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. How can you hold back spiritual things by signing contracts and having somebody actually watch you? Somebody tell you what you can and cannot say, and this is spiritual. You're supposed to bring the truth, spirit and truth. So, it makes no sense that they basically can tell you what it is you should be upset about, angry about. Listen, this is nothing like the civil rights movement. This is nothing like the civil rights movement when churches had some real political power. They don't want a repeat of that. They don't want a situation where churches have political power. See, that's the thing that we're lacking as the quote unquote nation of Israel. We talk about being a nation, we talk about being Israelites, but because we have some of the more renowned known camps under 501c3s, although you may have numbers, you don't have any political power. Matter of fact, you can't even speak on politics. That's a damn shame. Because how could we establish ourselves as a nation with no political power in a world that's politically driven? You cannot speak on politics. You cannot have your opinion. Why? Because you have taskmasters, you have bosses, you have overseers that tell you what you can and cannot march for, what you can and can protest for. Y'all don't see something extremely wrong with this? Exactly, Keena. Omission of truth is a lie. And I'm tired of like walking on eggshells about this with my people. Because when I bring these things out, New Breed, you're a hater, because that's how small-minded our people are. No, y'all don't seriously see something wrong with the fact that we got all this rich Hebraic biblical knowledge, and our people still signing on a dotted line, bringing all of these numbers to serve under these kingdoms and get a muzzle over them because they don't want to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Because you got people who want to line their pockets up, industrializing this awakening. It's not too many people who just going to tell it like it is, and I'm not going to hold back, man. AG, thank you for the $5 contribution. Says following your channel for a while, absorbing much. Thank you for putting a name to this GS issue. I've dealt with gang stalking. Okay. Past year, spiritual warfare requiring a warrior spirit. Absolutely. Right. That's real talk. Somebody says speaking truth with love makes you a hater. Real talk. I just want to warn my people. If you choose to blindly follow these organizations and you know this information, this is on you. This is on you, but you can go to the IRS.com yourself and see all the restrictions they have, man. They can't speak about social or economic or political situations. They can't do it. They really cannot do it. That's why 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightfully dividing the word of truth. Man, you got to rightfully divide the word of truth. Get into these scriptures. Study yourself. All you brothers out there, you don't have to follow behind these organizations. As a man, Christ is over you. Try to live your life being Christ-like. Study the word of God. Find out what's going on. Peel that book of Revelations open, because these camps ain't fit. They not reading from Revelations. They not reading from Revelations. I'm telling you, man, it's a damn shame that people keep falling for the hokey doke over and over. Let's see here. Let me pull up this other paper here. Let me make sure I got this. Wow. All to add assurances to church leaders to make sure that they feel some level of security, that they're going to always have money and be okay and have some financial backing and funding. That takes the faith. Just reading this paperwork, I don't see how these leaders can do that. It takes the faith out of serving the creator. It takes the faith out of relying on the Most High to provide your daily bread. It takes everything out of it. It literally just it's a damn shame, ladies and gentlemen, for real. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Okay, this is the credits and deductions. Let me see. Refunds. Yeah, when you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, check out the IRS website. Go through it, skim through it, see what it says about the 501c3. I just really wanted to break this down for y'all, man. These are some of the things you won't hear them talking about. You won't hear them talking about the mark of the beast. You won't hear them talk about biblical marriage, such as polygyny. You won't hear them talk about nothing economic, far as the CBDC, the economic revolution that we facing. They won't warn the people. Pretty much anything that is has a political stigma connected to it, you're not gonna hear them talk about that. They're not even addressing the prerequisites that lead up to the mark of the beast. And it is what it is. Revelations tell you that the mark of the beast will be here. So it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Well, one can't buy or sell, say, if he have the mark. It says he'll cause all, small and great, free and bond. That doesn't mean all will receive the mark, but it means people from all walks of life will be getting the mark. See, God's people not getting the mark of the beast, but there's people who are not being warned out there. Why? Because these huge camps, these huge congregations are not warning the people that they're in imminent danger, because you're going to have people blindly go down there, get chipped up. And these camps and congregations, they're not going to warn them. They're going to keep on doing this old Bible banter that they do, trying to seem holier than thou, but they're not going to really be addressing the real issues and things to come. But I just wanted to make it aware of what was going on, ladies and gentlemen. All praises to the God of Israel, man. I love each and every one of y'all. Man, with that being said, y'all have a blessed evening. It's time to go get some rest. I know I came early in the morning or whatever. I just had this on my mind, wanted to get it out. More content coming soon. With that being said, shalom and peace. NGT to the world. Oh.